Hello, NMC faculty, and I'm excited to be able to offer this service learning orientation online. It's just a real brief introduction to service learning, and I hope to be able to offer this in person several times throughout the year because I think it's really helpful to get people in the same room talking about it and sharing their own experiences. But this will give you a very short introduction into service learning if you're considering possibly incorporating service learning into your course for the first time, or maybe you've been doing it for a while and you just want some new ideas or to think about it differently. So I hope you find this helpful. Before I jump into what is service learning, I think it's helpful to be inspired. So I'm going to start with this short video that you may have seen called Kid President. And this is his short video on how we can change the world.
That's an idea of how you can change the world. Some people think you should just complain about it. I won't change the world, you'll just make it bad. Some people think you have lots of money. Make it rain everywhere you go. Some people think you have to be really loud and yell a lot. It's like with a bullhorn shouting, "Hey you, yeah you, get my way right now." Other people choose to just make fun of everything. That's dumb, everyone's dumb. It's easier to make fun of stuff, but it's cooler to make stuff. Some people think changing the world can only be done by the smartest person in the world. Just put them in a room, let them figure it out. The solution of world hunger? Food. Wow, that was like so amazing. Some people see the bad in the world and they just decide to ignore it. But that won't help anything. Some people think you have to be really famous and super cool. In fact, lots of people think you have to be really powerful to make a difference. Like being mayor, or senator, or president. But the truth is, a title doesn't make you more important. The world is changed by you. It's one person filled with love. And they just have to live it out, so they do something awesome. Then that person is filled with love, and they do something awesome. It just goes on. And the next thing you know, everything's awesome. Some people think it's impossible to change the world.
It's impossible to change the world.
Well, you can see why they could think that. Living in the world with kids who are hungry, people who are homeless, families weren't happy. I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else, man. I do know this, though. Next time you feel overwhelmed or totally alone, remember this. Things don't have to be the way they are. The world is changed by ordinary people. Little people living out big love. And that's what gives the world a reason to dance. So, how do we change the world? At the start of this year, I asked all you guys to make the year more awesome.
Okay, so hopefully after watching those few minutes, you're inspired to want to change the world. And one way that we can go about making a difference in the world is through service learning. So what is it? There's lots of different definitions of service learning out there, and there's lots of different things people are doing in their courses that they consider to be service learning that may or may not meet this definition. But one of the articles on service learning that I reviewed and is on the website with resources, which I'll show you at the end, says that service learning is a credit-bearing educational experience in which students participate in an organized service activity that meets identified community needs and reflect on the service activity in such a way as to gain further understanding of course content, a broader appreciation of the discipline, and an enhanced sense of civic responsibility. So I think there's a few key things there. First, service learning is considered to be credit-bearing. That means this is not optional. It is a required part of a course in which they're receiving credit for. So it's not, oh, if you want to go volunteer on Saturday, go ahead. But rather it's something built into the course that they receive credit for, they receive a grade for. It's not optional, it's integral. Next is that it's an organized service activity. So it's not necessarily, oh, just go do something and then write about it. It's something that you have identified as a faculty member that meets the community needs and also meets the objectives of your course in terms of the content. So that's where it can be tricky to find the right fit. And it takes a little bit of reflection, it takes a little bit of development to find that right partnership. But we want it to address community needs and also help students gain further understanding of the course content. So those two things are really important. And then you also see that word reflect, reflecting on the service activity. That's really key. We want students, when they go out to do this service activity, that they don't just go do it and then never think about it again. Incorporating reflection into the requirements is really key. And that can be done in a number of ways, which we'll talk about a little bit further in the presentation. What does it look like? Really, these are the two main pieces of the service learning is first the engagement in the service activity, and the more meaningful the service activity, the better. So going and organizing cans of food at a food pantry is important. It is service to an organization, but how meaningful that experience is to the students, how closely it connects to the course content is what is going to make the experience most powerful. So that selecting that meaningful service activity is really key. And then just as important and integral is that the service activity is followed up by directed writing, small group discussions, or class presentations. So directed writings could be a journal entry. It could be an actual paper in which they write about their experience and then connect it to other research or other course content. Small group or large group class discussions can be really important. Or you can ask the students to present about their service learning. And you can do one of these, all of these, really depends on what you think will work best in your course. And I also want to point out that it does not need to be a clinical experience. I know here at Methodist we have a very community-based program, and our students are out in the community a lot doing clinical work, and they're often working with at-risk populations. It doesn't have to be, though, a clinical experience in order to be service learning. They don't need to be, taking blood pressures or practicing doing a certain type of scan. It can be incorporated in any course. So maybe an English course, and the students are learning writing skills, and maybe the service learning project is working with third graders at a local elementary school on the basics of good writing. There's endless possibilities with service learning, but I want to encourage you to think outside the box in terms of it doesn't just have to be clinical or skills based. So why are we talking about service learning? Why do service learning? Because as you start going through this and looking at the resources online, you'll see it is a lot of work. And so for faculty, there's got to be strong benefits, right, for doing this service learning. So there's been a lot of research done on service learning and with very positive outcomes. First, students that participate in service learning provide more or have a more positive course evaluation at the end of the course. I know sometimes students at the beginning feel like, oh, this is extra work outside of classwork, but in the end, often they find that the service learning experience was really valuable and therefore have a more positive experience of the course and evaluate it as such. They also develop more positive beliefs and values towards service and their community, which is really important. Of course, it's part of our mission here at Nebraska Methodist College to prepare healthcare providers to serve our community. So having positive feelings towards our community, wanting to make a difference in our community is really important. They also, research has found higher academic achievement in terms of both on midterms and final exams. So the doing service learning actually is helping students understand course content better, and they are better able to perform than on exams in the course. And then lastly, they have a more positive impact on their personal, moral, social, and cognitive outcomes. So overall, really positive outcomes for incorporating service learning. And of course, the more meaningful and powerful the actual service experience is, the more positive outcomes you're going to see. So the nuts and bolts of service learning, this is what a lot of faculty really want, and unfortunately it's not just do these 3 things and then you have service learning projects. Um, it does take a lot of preparation. There's a lot of resources that I've put together on the Google site that I'm going to show you in a minute. There's one really good one-page handout that really talks about the 4 stages of service learning. That might be a good place to start just to get a sense of what we're talking about. It's really key to involve the community partner, and so identifying a good community partner should be at the very top of your list. You also, once you have found out who your community partner is, what the service project is going to be, you want to make sure that you include service learning requirements in your syllabus. Make sure it's clear to students what is expected, how they will be graded, and also you may want to rewrite some of your course objectives, including that, so that it reflects the service learning requirement as well. And then lastly, you want to think about how you're going to include reflection in the course. How are you going to link service and learning? And again, I have several good handouts on reflection. A lot of times we just stop at journaling. Write a journal, a one-page journal, turn it in, and that's all. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. With today's technology, there's lots of cool digital photo journals that you can do, that you can ask students to do. Also facilitating the discussion, not only just in your course, but also maybe inviting the community partner to come to the class to be involved in the discussion. It brings in their outside perspective that can enhance the reflection as well. So I said one of the most important parts is developing that community partnership. And so it's really important to figure out who is a good partner to link up with. And so knowing your community can help. That's part of what I am here for, is I can help you identify who a potential partner might be in the community. But then when you identify that partner, we want to make sure that we're listening to what their needs are. So we're not just saying, hey, I want to do this. Can I come in and do this at your site or at your agency? But listen to what their needs are and see if it's a good fit for what your students can provide. That will make a more positive experience for both the students and the community partner. It's really helpful to identify the roles and resources that's going to be available from both parties. And so developing a partnership agreement is key. And there's a handout on a guideline of how you can go about creating a partnership agreement. And from a legal perspective, we are working on here at NMC developing a memorandum of understanding, which handles all the legal details of the partnership agreement. What would happen if something happened to a student while at that site, those types of things. But in terms of what are the students going to do, who's going to be supervising them, what resources are provided to them at the site, all of that should be part of a partnership agreement. And there's a couple handouts to help you walk you through that. We really want to make sure that the community partnership is mutually beneficial. And we want our students not to think they're going in and fixing a problem, but really helping the organization develop and build on their assets. And when we come in and we're going to fix everything, that can that the power dynamics of that type of relationship ends up not being a very positive experience for either party. So we want to make sure that the partnership has mutual benefit. How we can help here at Nebraska Methodist College: as the service learning coordinator, I am more than willing to meet with anybody who wants to do service learning. If you have an idea but you don't know who to partner with, I'm happy to help brainstorm community partners. I'm also happy to facilitate those meetings with the community partners for those initial meetings and get the partnership agreement going. There's also lots of great existing partners, people we've worked with for a long time. And so if you have an idea, we might reach out to an existing partner. And then we also have the Center for Health Partnerships has programs that always need help. Upward Bound, our Teen Center program that we work with at St. Luke United Methodist Church, the MDC Mobile Diabetes Center. Those are great resources. So at this time, I just want to pull up so you can see it, and I will send a link out to all faculty so that you can see this. But this is our Google site where I'm going to be housing information and resources on service learning. So my contact information is on there. A link to this PowerPoint is on there. And then there's lots of, all of these are links to PDFs. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you so much.